I know a lot of people are here or concerned about the tragic homicide that we had here back on last week on the 11th, over in the Beach Drive area in West Seattle. I would love to be able to explain or answer questions on it because we take these so seriously as this type of crime. We hold a lot of stuff close because our goal is to have the most professional, detailed, and complete investigation. Because our goal is to get this person and see it successfully through the court system. So with that, I don't want to compromise the integrity of the investigation because that is very important. It's also important for you. I can tell you that I've worked out here in West Seattle since 2005. Your West Seattle parks are safe. They do get a little busier in the warmer months, obviously, but we just did a check on what is our crime rates over, particularly at both of the parks near Beach Drive. Very low numbers. I think a lot of you saw those posted, what those numbers are. So for me, I'm confident to tell you that those parks are safe in light of the tragic homicide. One of the things I have done is we've thrown some extra patrol cars down in the area. And it's not so much as going to catch somebody or anything else, but it's to give, with these types of crime, it causes a lot of fear. And we want to help subside that fear by having that presence down there for you all. Trying to think what else I'd like to say in regard to that. If there was something that you needed to know as our public, as our citizens out here in West Seattle, about your safety that you need to be concerned about because we're not expressing anything to you about the details, just know that if there was something that I was concerned for your safety as a community, we would tell you. Trust me, we would tell you. We would take steps to make sure you were all safe. So hopefully you can kind of read between the lines of my cryptic messaging on that. So, sorry I'm out of breath. I was on I-5 at 5:20 near Interstate 520 about 15-20 minutes ago. So it's been a quick drive here. Can I answer any questions for you all? Anybody have any questions I can answer? Yes, ma'am.
I do have a question.
Yes.
I love to walk, and frequently I walk alone, and I don't feel safe walking alone anymore. During the daylight, if no one else is around, but I'm in a residential neighborhood, should I not be doing that right now?
No, each individual has to do what's comfortable for themselves. We always recommend to anybody, no matter where you live, that you're in the daylight, you are aware of your surroundings, and if at all possible, have a friend, dog, whatever helps you bring your nerves down as far as being feel safe. There's times when I go out, no matter where it is in the city. I'm not going to say West Seattle, I'll say some other part of the city, but where I'm going, I'm a little nervous down here. And I'm a cop. So we all get those feelings of feeling kind of, something's bothering us or our instincts are picking up. And you just have to trust your instincts. Your instincts are based on your experience and you need to trust those. And so take steps, whatever you need to do.
I understand that maybe that is the best answer, but under these circumstances, knowing that somebody's out there, I think for me, usually I could feel comfortable doing that, but now there's a lot of fear that's getting in the way.
Sure. And
so it's very difficult to read this situation now.
Very natural and very understandable. And I think the best thing to do is be out in the daylight. Be out in the daylight. Don't go into anywhere that is secluded, anywhere to where you can open up the opportunities for to be a victim. And that can be anywhere in the city, not just in that particular neighborhood, but anywhere. Includes like if you're somewhere else in some other city or town, maybe you don't want to go into a place that's less traveled by other people. So, because there's people out there, there's some not very nice people out in the world. So, yes.
The old rule, safety in numbers, still applies.
Well, one thing nice about our West Seattle community, and I saw it the other night when the community came together and said, we're going to take over our neighborhood, we're going to walk together. That was one of the greatest things I've seen. I just love it when our community does that. And it's empowering, but it also sends a strong message. And I'll tell you, we have a lot of great neighborhoods here in West Seattle, and that was really neat to see over there in the Beach Drive Alpine area. So I applaud the community for doing that. I think they took a great stance on the whole issue. And
that type of power in numbers, of collectively coming together for a lot of us that do like to walk, couples, individuals, etc., you know, to connect so that some that like to walk at in the evening or early in the morning feel confident in being able to do that, but just in having a new partner to be able to do that with. Quick question that I have is that one of, I actually talked with a Seattle patrolman one day because I came back from a business trip to find out this had happened in my neighborhood. And there's a greenbelt, a private greenbelt behind my condo. And I had told him that 3 weeks ago I reported that there was somebody living back there, that I saw them walking through with this queen as my grandchildren were looking out the window when they were visiting one day. And so he told me, he took down all the information, he was awesome, told me he'd check it out and had my phone number, but I never heard again. And so what I'd say is, not that I'm not confident that he didn't check it out or had someone check it out, it would be helpful to us living in the community if something came back to us about, you know, I went through, I checked it out, there's no one there now, so you can feel comfortable with it. Because for me, being right there on ground level, greenbelt right behind me, the circumstances that just happened, it's unnerving. And so it would be, I think, a little more, I feel a little more confident in the evenings when that, you know, that I knew that actually happened.
Very good point. One of the things immediately after, we sent our anti-crime team in and around some of the parks in that particular area, and we went through it mainly to see what's in there, who's in there, or if anything's in there, and as well as, but in regard to your particular group, we have a lot of green space over here in West Seattle. If you could, right behind you is our community police team officer's name, Officer Ken Mazuka. If you can get your email address, we will follow up on that and let you know.
I appreciate
And,
it. Thank you.
and he's a great point of contact. He handles all that stuff over on the west side of 35th. So, but absolutely, we can follow up on that. Or if anyone else has any concerns for, you know, their green space and issues, because I'll tell you, since the economy, we've had a lot of people that have been displaced, and there's a lot of really good people that have been displaced out there in the community, and they're just trying to survive. And we do our best to try to take care of them as well. And then, of course, there's also some unsavory people too. So we want to find out who they are as well. So absolutely, we can follow up on that. And Ken will be glad to take down your email address or phone number and follow up with you on that. Anybody have anything? I don't want to take up the meetings. We got some important people here, but I really want to answer anything I can for you, just to kind of bring down that concern level as much as we can. So this was an important meeting for me to be at for you guys. So.
I have one follow-up question.
Yeah, absolutely.
Is there a personal defense tool that I can carry? I don't feel comfortable carrying a gun.
No.
Yeah.
Actually, it's funny. I'm never a big advocate for that. You know, because people need to go out and do whatever training's comfortable with them, and part of that is being proficient and knowing all the different things, what you can, decisions you have to make. And so there's quite a bit of commitment that goes with that. I don't have any recommendations because it's just not my area of expertise. But if you check around and see, there might be some personal safety type classes, whether it's at a YMCA or a community college or something like that. Check around, but I would start with that, and they probably have the best advice for people. So it's definitely not my bailiwick. So anything. Yes.
I understand if you can't answer this question, and hopefully just as a yes or no question you can. I'm curious to know if there is a specific reason why if it's the lower level there at Miquelmooks Park, or Emma Schmitz rather, that's being considered the actual site of the homicide, or if there's still a question about exactly where that happened along the waterfront.
Well, I can't say for sure on anything. I can say just from basically the information we have, I think it's pretty close to that area, if not in that area. I purposely kept myself out of the details of the investigation. Again, so I don't compromise it as well. But I feel pretty confident, even though I don't have all the facts, that it didn't happen. I think it happened pretty close close to that area.
Thank you.
That's the best I can do. I apologize. I wish I could. I'm so used to being so upfront and transparent, but I really have to protect this. So,
Understand.
yes.
Was there a time?
There's a time frame, and again, I really, they got it. That's all pretty scientific, and I probably shouldn't go there. But I would say evening. In the evening hours, maybe, but I could be wrong. I apologize for not being more. I would like to say I wish I could. Anybody else have anything that I can help them with? One of the things I have to say with being here, one of our biggest successes and the biggest success for you all in your neighborhoods is the Block Watch program. I'll tell you, a lot of us get so tied up in our busy everyday lives. And we don't even know who's next door to us because we just get so wrapped up. And of course, I'm kind of old, I'm an old baby boomer, but the issue is getting to know your neighbors. You build up that relationship. Pretty soon there's trust, and pretty soon their friendships develop through that. But it's having you being able to look after each other. And that means, like, if you're at work during the day, which most of our burglaries happen, maybe that other person works nights and they see something strange that doesn't belong in your neighborhood. They call the police. That's how we're catching our burglars, folks. I mean, that's how we're doing it. Citizens calling. And I'll tell you, that's why we have some of the best apprehension numbers in the whole city, is because the citizens are really come together with this whole Block Watch program. And I know a lot of people are kind of, nervous about giving out too much information, but I would recommend just having a little neighborhood get together, or go around and say, hey, I'm so-and-so, I live down this street, and keep it until that relation gets you build up trust. You can give out more and more information as you develop those relationships within your community. So, and anything else? Pierre, did I miss anything?
No, I think you answered.
I've got my other folks here. Yes?
Non-emergency police phone number?
You know what? I saw some of that come out in some of the comments today. I don't even know what that number is, because that's how I view it. If I can make any recommendation to you, don't worry about that non-emergency number. It's got too many numbers to it. I would just please use just 911, because what happens with the 911 system, it goes through somebody that takes the call. They can feed through it, decide, okay, and they can prioritize it, but it also gives me a record of what actually is going on. And I'll tell you, as long as you're not calling about what temperature to cook your turkey, or give me directions to Westfield or CenturyLink Field, I should say. Keep it relevant to policing and law enforcement. 911 is easy. We tell all of our community to call 911. Don't worry about that emergency line. And we have it, but I think it gets recorded on 911. So, Kelly, you always know everything. So, but that's what I would recommend, because it gets recorded. And some people think it's bothersome to call 911 over something like, I see this guy walking down our street, I don't know who he is, it could be innocent, it could be not. We like those kind of calls, because that's how we catch our criminals. Sometimes it just may be a normal, nice person, or it could be someone in Casey looking for an opportunity to break into your car or steal something from your yard, or whatever it may be. So that's the best advice I could give. 911, it's easy to remember, and the non-emergency number, maybe in the old days, but I'm going on through just those three numbers. Yes?
This just reminds me of a sore point for me. Door-to-door salespeople.
Yes?
It seems so obsolete, and it just feels like people are casing. Is there any way to create a law against that?
Boy, I'll tell you, I feel just like you do. I live out in the sticks, and I've got a 1,000-foot driveway, and I'll tell you, it just bothers me when someone comes down my driveway. So, but I'm also silly enough to leave my doors open and unlocked all day long too. So it's, go figure. But, it's people have a, right for business. I think if you take steps to, no solicitor signs or whatever, that may bring that down. But I notice a lot of citizens call it when they see the doors, and we don't mind that, because sometimes they're good, sometimes they're not. Maybe it's a scam, and our officers love making contact with those people. We did it, I think, a year or two ago. We were doing on some magazine subscriptions. I think Tracy remembered how those were coming through. And some of them were good, some of them were not so good. So just call them in, we don't mind. It's job security, we love it. Anything else? Oh, yes.
Yes, should we call 911 if we think that our neighborhood is being cased?
Yes. Even if you think there's something that tells you, based off of your experience, there's something wrong about this picture. It doesn't look right. It could be completely innocent, but we don't mind
I
responding.
don't think so. It was a four-door white car, and there were at least 3 or 4 people in it, and they just looked like they shouldn't have been there.
Sure. Call 911. We love those, because I'll tell you, a trend we've had over the last couple months is large cars with groups of young adults or old juveniles in them, and they've been working as teams around doing some of the burglaries. So one will be a lookout, 2 will go and do the dirty deed, and they've been working in groups like that. We've caught a lot of them that were doing that. They've been getting these old taxis, that have been, decommissioned, or large cars that look like police cars, big Crown Victorias, or whatever they may be. They have big trunks, big screen TVs in them. So you never know. You never know.
We didn't get the license plate. Should we send it to you?
Give it to 911, because that gets to our officers. If it's important enough to you, 911, you give the dispatcher, and sometimes they come across like impersonal, and you feel kind of guilty after you start to talk to them. But we've been communicating with them based off of the feedback from you all, and they've been working really hard. They're great people. I couldn't do their job. That have to deal with people calling, and because people are in different stages of stress during those moments, and it's a job I couldn't do, because I take my hat off to them that work that tough job. But they are taking down this information, and they may seem kind of sterile with it, but they're taking you down a path, and just let them guide you where they need to go. And then at the same time, they're prioritizing that call and sending to a dispatcher. So if they're asking you, these weird questions, just know that they're communicating with somebody else at the same time they're talking to you. So anyway, one of the things we've been working on is making citizens not feel, what's the word, Pierre, I want to use, feel bad about calling. Because sometimes we all get someone that doesn't give the best customer service, and we feel bad afterwards. And if it is something that makes you feel bad, call us. We'll take care of it. Trust us, we will. We want you taken care of. So anything else? Yes.
I guess I'd have to say maybe that should be out there more, because most of us feel as if that could be a problem, calling 911 and not being an emergency. So it seems like on the PR side of it, it would be good to get that out there. Because of people that have small children that are home after school or whatever, that their idea is, don't call 911, the police are going to come down on you, you're going to get taken to jail because you called the wrong number. So that's my adult children, that's what I taught them. But so I guess what I would say is I appreciate what you've shared this evening. It certainly makes me think that I would definitely call 911, but I think perhaps it should be out there at a larger level.
No, you're absolutely right, and that's one of the things we've actually been working on really heavily, and for a long time we've been working on that message. I was also brought up, I didn't even have contact with my first police officer until I became a police officer. And I was always scared, I would never call the police, and I never got in trouble, and I was always, said, a while ago. But anyway, so I was brought up the same way, don't bother the police, you don't need to bother the police. We want you to. We want to. And it's important for that partnership too, because I'll tell you, you are the eyes and ears of our neighborhoods. It's not the police officers. We can't be everywhere at the same time. And I'll tell you, we'd be a miserable failure without our citizens watching out what's going on in their neighborhoods. And I'll tell you, the fact that you care about your neighborhood, the fact that you're here shows that you care as well. So thank you very much for that, because I'll tell you, that's what makes this area one of the safest areas in the city. So big thank you. Any other, yeah?
I just wanted to say that, you really can't call 911 enough on these things. When you've called them enough, they'll just answer the phone and say, "Hi, Dick, what have you got for us now?"
No, they got your picture, I think, down there too. So, and the thing is, it's okay for us, because I'll tell you, I'm tracking those phone calls. I track the 911 calls. In fact, today, Lieutenant Davis and I had a meeting. We're working on a project in our North Delridge area that we want to do a presentation for the community on the 29th of this month at 7 o'clock. If any of you live in that area and want to hear about your neighborhood. But we're going to do a big PowerPoint on it and tell you exactly what's going on in that neighborhood. But that's all based off of crime trends that we're seeing, and we want to put that back out there, because one of the things we want to do is help that community become more mobilized as well. So we've got a lot of things exciting going on in that neighborhood, and we want to get up on the ground floor with that with everyone.
say humorously, that's how you and I got to be older than Dick Clark. We've aged more than Dick Clark has.
Oh, and I'll tell you, some days I feel older than others, so. Dodge.
Calling 911, I have to tell you the story about my neighbor. There was a salesman going around the neighborhood, and she called everybody, including me, the national headquarters. And when I got hold of her, I said, "You called everybody except the ones you're supposed to call." And she says, "You're supposed to call. You're supposed to call 911." She said, "Well, I thought that was for, you know, heart attacks and stuff like that." And I thought, "Oh God, please." But
Yeah.
you know.
No, like I say, I shouldn't say this because I've got a camera behind me, so please edit me well. It's kind of funny. I remember as a little young kid, we had paper routes and stuff like that. We'd hide behind deer piles and go, "There goes the fuzz." So, anyway, and like I say, it's good to see everybody. I don't get to come to this meeting that often, but I want particularly my Alki and Beach Drive residents to know we're putting everything we have into this. It's very serious to us. We've got extra patrols down there. If someone sees something or has an idea, there's numbers to call for our homicide unit. They've been working around the clock since this came out. So, and I mean, I've seen them at the day, I've seen them at night. I don't even know when they've had any sleep yet, but they've got that entire unit working on this, as well as other resources we have here in the city and other resources. So, I mean, I can go on and on about the number of resources that are invested into this because it's important to us. Like I say, my condolences to the family. This is just a terrible thing for us. So, it's very important for us.
I will have you know that the father of that young woman came to the vigil
Yeah,
on
I saw
Sunday
that.
night, and so it was really meaningful, I think, to a lot of us in the community that he was there, and really impactful too. That he was heartfelt, very
Yeah,
heartfelt.
very much
Broke their
so.
hearts too. Didn't
Yeah. No, it is. Yes.
So I called in over the weekend into Crime Stoppers with some information. The woman who answered the phone put me on hold for at least 10 minutes.
Yeah.
And when she finally came back to the line, she really didn't know which way it was up. It was incredible to me. And I asked her what the relationship was between Crime Stoppers and the police department, and she said she didn't know. She said she didn't know. So I asked if I should call the police with my information. She said, it's your business.
You know what, we have a representative we have a wonderful relationship. We have Merle Carter that is a liaison with Crime Stoppers through our department, and they work heavily with the media, and it's kind of like a national program, and there's like subsets of it, and so there's a lot of volunteers, and maybe it was a newer person, or someone just handling the call, I don't know, but we can follow up that with Merle. Merle's been around for a long time, and I've never called him myself, but you know, it's so I have a hard time how they set up things as far as information on that. I don't know if it was a national number or a local number, or how you got directed.
It was the number on the poster.
Oh, okay. I'll follow up with either Liz or Merle on that. So, anything, I'd like to say, we got guests here. I don't want to suck up all the air in the room, but I'd like to say thank you. Yeah, Richard.
There's one more thing about the shooting Westwood 2 weeks ago. Do you have any information on that?
A second, I'm thinking.
By the Bank of America?
Oh.
Not too much going on that. We do have some very, very strong leads at this point in time as to the individuals that were involved in that thing. We did get down to the nitty-gritty of it and figure out exactly what was going on amongst all the multitude of stories that came out from the individuals.
Now I know which one you're talking about. Sorry.
So, you know, other than that, we are still working on it. Our gang unit is working on it as well.
I guess the biggest issue that came across the community on that particular issue, as this thing unfolded with the investigation, we got more and more of the truth and more information, and kind of directed us down a path which was completely different than how the call came out. And with that, we have the gang unit investigating. The issue that came across our community was all about school lockdowns and barricading. What was it? Something in place? Shelter in place. We have a kind of a natural thing that kicks off depending on the type of call. We had a similar incident that happened, I believe, opportunity yesterday where there was this call that came out of the radio of a shooting that just happened in the 3000 block of Southwest Roxbury. And of course, we have an elementary school that's close by, the Roxville Elementary. And what happens is when those calls come out, officers are dropping everything they have and we're going to the scene, and then we're trying to sort it out. But our central dispatcher also, with the nature of the calls, will automatically start calling the schools. And it's the school administrators that will decide how they want to deal with their particular school based off of the information that they have. And so whenever we have an incident like the one on, down there at Westwood Village, the schools were notified, and then we follow up and work closely with our school administrators. And I can tell you this, your West Seattle schools are great to work with. It was flawless as far as being able to work together to make sure our kids were safe during that incident. But with the knuckleheads, with the little disturbance, then with the shooting, then I think that was more tied to something that may have happened in the past. That's the best way to put that. And we're dealing with it on a number of different levels. So thank you, everyone. It's good to see y'all. And I hope I'm bringing out my southern.
Nice to see you.
So thank you very much.